A rejected human and an ancient machine in the ruins, together. They shape the universe. A sci-fi HFY tale. In the distant future, humanity had spread across the stars, colonizing countless worlds and encountering alien civilizations far older and more powerful than their own. Yet, despite their vast technological advances, they were not universally welcomed. Some species saw humans as a threat, primitive, volatile, and unstable. Others dismissed them as insignificant. Kara was one such rejected human. Exiled from the elite spacefaring society she had once called home, Kara wandered the edge of known space, drifting through forgotten ruins and abandoned outposts. Her people had betrayed her, deeming her unworthy of their advanced technology and their bright future. But she was far from defeated, for Kara had learned a hard truth in her time on the fringes: she was more than they had ever believed. One day, as she scoured the ancient remains of a long-dead civilization on a planet forgotten by time, Kara stumbled upon a relic unlike any she had ever seen, a massive, rusted machine half buried beneath layers of sand and stone. Its structure was geometric, elegant in design, with pulsating veins of light faintly illuminating its surface, as if it were still alive. Her heart raced. She had no idea what it was, but instinct told her it was important, more important than anything she had ever encountered. After hours of careful excavation, she managed to uncover an access panel. With trembling hands, she activated it. The machine hummed, the ancient energy cells flickering to life, and a voice echoed in her mind. "I am Eternum, the echo of creation. You, human, are the one who has awakened me." Kara froze, astonished. The machine, no, the entity, spoke directly into her thoughts. It felt ancient, beyond comprehension, yet also familiar. It was the hum of life itself, the very fabric of the universe woven into its core. What are you?" Kara asked, her voice barely a whisper. "I am the last of a race of beings who shaped the stars. We built and created, and we left our mark across the cosmos. But we failed, and now I slumber, waiting for a new architect to carry the burden of creation." Kara felt a deep connection to the entity. She had always felt like an outcast among her own people, never fully belonging. But here, in this desolate ruin, she was not rejected, she was chosen. The machine continued. "You, Kara, are the one who will reshape the universe. You are not bound by the mistakes of your ancestors. You are a new force, one that will challenge the status quo. You will rise, and in your rise, you will awaken others." Kara's mind raced. She had no idea what she was being asked to do, but she knew this was her chance to prove humanity's worth, to show the galaxy that they were not a race to be ignored or discarded. She had been rejected, but now, with Eternum at her side, she had the power to forge a new path. Together, they began their work. The machine's intelligence merged with Kara's determination, and they traveled the galaxy, awakening the dormant potential of other ancient ruins. They revitalized forgotten technologies, breathing new life into decaying civilizations. In every corner of the universe, the legend of the human and the ancient machine spread, whispered among alien races who had once underestimated humanity. In time, Kara became a symbol, not of weakness, but of strength. Her people, once shunned, rallied to her cause. They learned to harness the old technologies, creating new wonders that transcended their original limitations. But more than that, they learned the true value of unity, working with other races instead of against them. Kara, with Eternum's guidance, forged alliances with the very species who had once rejected humanity. She proved that, in the grand tapestry of the universe, humanity was not a flaw or a mistake. They were a force of creation, capable of shaping the stars themselves. As the years passed, the universe blossomed. New worlds were born from the ashes of old, and the cosmos hummed with the energy of 1,000 new possibilities. And through it all, the legend of Kara and Eternum endured, a testament to the power of a rejected human and an ancient machine working together to shape the future. In the end, the universe was not what it had been. It was something greater, something more alive, more diverse, and more united than ever before. And it was all because of a single, rejected human who had refused to give up on the dream of a better tomorrow. Together, they had transformed everything. The end. A rejected human and an ancient machine in the ruins, together. They shaped the universe. A sci-fi HFY tale, Part 2. The galaxy hummed with a new, dynamic energy. Kara, once cast aside, now led an empire forged from the very ashes of rejection. Her fame spread across star systems, her name uttered with respect by those who once saw humanity as insignificant. But this new age, fueled by Kara and Eternum's work, was far from perfect. Power struggles were inevitable. Among the stars, old rivalries festered. Alien factions, once passive under the new harmony Kara had cultivated, began to stir. They resented the new alliances humanity had formed with their enemies. There were whispers of rebellion, of those who longed for the chaos of old, before humanity's ascension. Kara, aware that her journey was far from over, gathered her closest allies. Among them was a former enemy, Eryx, the leader of a fierce reptilian race that had once nearly wiped out human colonies in a brutal war. Now, Eryx served at Kara's side, transformed by the same vision of unity. "Some will never accept what we've become," Eryx said, his cold, scaly face betraying no emotion. "There are those who believe the universe should remain divided, just as it was before your rise. They are a threat." Kara nodded. She had expected this. It was the price of progress, the resistance of those who feared change. "Then we will show them that they are wrong," she said. "We are not just a species, we are a new force, and we will make them see that the universe can be something greater." Eternum's voice, a calm presence in her mind, echoed as always. "Kara, the next step is near. The power to reshape reality is within our grasp, but we must be careful. Every action has consequences." "I know," Kara whispered, her voice heavy with the weight of the responsibility she now bore. "But I can't stop now. We've already changed so much. We can't let it fall apart." The ancient machine hummed with approval. "Then let us proceed. Together, we will not be denied our destiny." They set out on their new mission, to unlock the true potential of the universe's hidden dimensions. Eternum had shown Kara glimpses of higher realities, worlds that existed just beyond the veil, places of unimaginable power and knowledge. But to reach them, they would need to breach the boundaries of space and time itself. The journey was not without peril. As Kara and her allies ventured deeper into forgotten realms, they encountered alien intelligences that existed beyond time, entities of immense power who viewed the universe as their domain. Some were ancient gods, others were simply far too advanced to be comprehended by mortal minds. And among these beings, they found resistance, not because of hatred, but because of fear. "You would seek to change the fabric of the universe itself?" a being known only as the Watcher of Eons asked, its form a swirling mass of energy and light. Kara stood tall, her eyes fierce. "I will not stand idly by while the future is dictated by fear. This universe is not meant to stagnate. It's meant to grow, to evolve." The Watcher's response was not one of aggression but of curiosity. "Then you are no ordinary human. You carry the weight of many, yet you act with a single purpose. Very well, Kara of the human race, we shall see what you create." Kara's determination burned brighter. With Eternum's guidance and the power of countless forgotten machines at her disposal, she unlocked new realms, rediscovered the lost art of dimensional travel, and reshaped the very laws of the cosmos. But with each new leap, the galaxy watched in awe and fear. The balance of power was shifting. As factions began to form, Kara found herself faced with choices that would either unite the galaxy forever or shatter it into pieces. Her people, her allies, and even those who once rejected her now looked to her for guidance. They wanted peace, yes, but peace at what cost? In the end, Kara understood something fundamental. Peace was not a gift to be handed down from the powerful. It was something that had to be fought for. It was something that required sacrifice, vigilance, and most importantly, trust in one another. With Eternum's voice guiding her, Kara made the ultimate decision. She initiated the Nexus Protocol, a universal consciousness that would unite the galaxy into a shared, collective intelligence. It would blend the wisdom of all species, allowing them to see beyond their differences, to truly understand each other, and to work together as one. The protocol would be the ultimate form of creation, a fusion of organic and artificial intelligence that would transcend the old divisions. But not everyone was ready. There were factions that saw this as a form of control, a surrender of individuality. There was an uprising. Kara, however, was resolute. She confronted the rebels, who had once been her allies, and she stood with Eternum by her side. Together, they forged a new reality, a reality where those who feared change could choose their path, but those who embraced the future would have a hand in shaping it. And as the final battle raged across the stars, Kara's voice echoed through the cosmos, "We are not alone, and we will never again be rejected." The end. A rejected human and an ancient machine in the ruins, together. They shaped the universe. A Sci-Fi HFY tale, Part 3. The war had ended, but the universe was still in turmoil. Kara, the architect of the Nexus Protocol, had brought the galaxy to the brink of a new era. With Eternum's wisdom, she had merged civilizations, weaving a fabric of shared knowledge and understanding that spanned across countless star systems. But not all were content with this new way of being. The resistance that had once fought against her vision had fractured into rogue factions, each believing that their interpretation of the future was the correct one. Some feared the collective mind of the Nexus would swallow their individuality, while others, still bitter from their rejection of humanity, viewed Kara's rise as an affront to the natural order. The universe, though united in some ways, remained divided in others. Kara and Eternum, now deeply intertwined in purpose, stood at the precipice of a new challenge. The Nexus had been activated, but the final step, the full integration of the galaxy into one seamless network, was still to come, and that meant facing the resistance head-on. "I thought we had one," Kara said, her voice a mixture of determination and exhaustion as she stood on the observation deck of the Argentum, her flagship. "But the truth is, we've only just begun." Eternum's voice, soft and ever-present in her mind, responded with its timeless calm. "Kara, the universe does not yield to a single will, but in our unity, we have created something none can easily destroy. The Nexus is not a weapon, it is a choice, but a choice, when given to all, will inevitably be met with opposition from those who fear what it means to be truly free." Kara nodded, her eyes fixed on the starry expanse beyond. "I understand, but I can't just let the universe fall apart again. I've seen too much suffering. Too much division. We can't let fear be the master of our future." The resistance had been growing bolder in recent months, striking at key Nexus nodes and spreading disinformation. They believed that, by destroying the Nexus, they could preserve the fragmented universe they cherished, with its power struggles and hierarchies intact. Kara knew she couldn't let that happen, not after everything they had fought for. "I need to speak to the Council," she said, turning to Erix, who had become her closest advisor. The reptilian warrior had long ago learned to trust Kara, and in turn, he had become a crucial ally in the fight to protect the Nexus. Erix's amber eyes narrowed. "You think the Council will be able to help? Many of them are already divided. Some wish for peace, but others," he stopped, his tone darkening, "others are playing a dangerous game." Kara knew that the Council of Unified Worlds, once a beacon of hope for interstellar diplomacy, was now a battleground in itself. The leaders of different factions had grown increasingly suspicious of her rise, and some had already begun to question the true cost of unity. "I'm not asking them to help me," Kara replied, her voice firm. "I'm asking them to see what is at stake. This isn't just about one race, one species, or one galaxy. This is about the future of everything." Kara's meeting with the Council was tense. The leaders of the most powerful races in the galaxy gathered in a massive, hollowed-out asteroid at the center of the Nexus. The room buzzed with a mix of anticipation and wariness. Kara stood before them, the weight of their distrust hanging heavy in the air. "You claim to have united the galaxy," said Talarith, an elder from the ancient and reclusive Kylan race. His voice was sharp, his gaze colder than the void outside. "But we see the truth. You have enslaved the minds of billions, wrapped them in your illusion of unity. There is no freedom in the Nexus, only submission." Kara stood her ground. "I didn't create the Nexus to control anyone. I created it because the old way, divided, fractured, fighting for power, was destroying us. We cannot move forward by tearing each other apart. If we are to survive as a species, no, as a galaxy, we must learn to understand one another, to act together, not against each other." "But you are asking us to surrender our identities," Talarith pressed, his voice rising, "to erase what makes us who we are." "You've misunderstood," Kara replied, her eyes flashing with a fire that burned brighter than any star. "I'm not asking you to surrender your identity, I'm asking you to share it, to understand that we can all be who we are, together, different species, different cultures, different ways of thinking. It's all part of what makes the universe rich. But we cannot thrive if we're constantly at war. That is the illusion, the idea that division is strength. It's not. It's destruction. The room fell silent. Eternum's presence within Kara's mind was a quiet reassurance. Speak the truth, Kara. Do not fear what they might say. Their path, if followed, will lead only to more pain. You have already proven the strength of unity. Kara turned her gaze back to the council. The Nexus doesn't erase who we are, it enhances who we can be. It allows us to work together, to share knowledge, to transcend the mistakes of the past. The future isn't something we're afraid of. It's something we create, together. For a long moment, the room was still. Then, slowly, the murmurs began. The leaders of the council, reluctant and divided, began to see the truth in her words. It was a slow realization, but it spread like wildfire among them. The old ways, built on fear, on division, were dying, and the future Kara offered, one of unity, of shared strength and knowledge, was the only true path forward. Talarith, for the first time, nodded, though his expression was one of grudging acceptance. Perhaps there is something to what you say, but the path you offer will not be easy. Many will resist, and there are forces beyond our understanding that will try to tear it all down. Kara met his gaze with unwavering certainty. Then we will face them together. The future is not set by those who resist. It is shaped by those who stand firm, united, and I believe we can do this, if we trust each other. And so, the council, at long last, made a choice. The Nexus was not just a network, it was the blueprint for the future. A future that could not be defined by any one race, any one species. It would be a galaxy shaped by the collective will of its inhabitants, an interconnected web where the strength of each would be the strength of all. As Kara left the council chamber, Eric's beside her, she felt a surge of hope. The fight was far from over. The resistance would continue to challenge them, and the balance of power would always be fragile. But with Eternum guiding her, and with the galaxy's diverse peoples now united in purpose, Kara knew one undeniable truth. They had changed the universe, and together, they would defend it from those who wished to see it broken. The story of humanity, their rejection, their rise, and their transformation had only just begun. The end, for now. A rejected human and an ancient machine in the ruins, together. They shaped the universe. A Sci-Fi HFY tale, Part 4. The galaxy, though united in the wake of Kara's hard-won victory, was far from stable. While many factions accepted the Nexus as a new way forward, some still clung to old beliefs. Kara understood better than most that even in unity, there would always be those who resisted change, those who saw the future as a threat to their power or their identity. But the true test had yet to come. The Nexus had been expanded to encompass not only the galaxy's diverse races but also the untapped dimensions beyond the known universe. It was a fragile, living thing, its interconnected minds a delicate balance of wisdom and curiosity. But this vast web had stirred something ancient, something older than any civilization in the galaxy. A presence, long dormant, now began to awaken. Eternum, sensing the shift in the cosmos, spoke softly in Kara's mind. Kara, a force older than the Nexus stirs. It is not a force of chaos, nor is it a force of order. It is something else, and it is coming. Kara stood on the bridge of the Argentum, staring out into the vastness of space. She could feel the subtle tremor of something deep within the fabric of reality, something that could unravel all they had built if they weren't careful. "Do you think it's connected to the resistance?" she asked, though she suspected the answer. "No, Kara. This force does not come from any known species or ideology. It predates all of us." Kara's heart skipped a beat. Predates all of them? That meant it was older than even the ancient civilizations whose ruins they had uncovered. Older than Eternum itself. "What is it?" she asked quietly. "It is the source," Eternum replied, its voice deep with foreboding. "The primordial energy that gave rise to all life and creation. It is the beginning of everything. But it also has the potential to undo all that has been built. If it awakens fully, it may tear apart the very foundation of the Nexus." Kara's thoughts raced. The Nexus was her greatest creation, a living network of shared consciousness, a beacon of unity across the stars. But if this source, the force of creation itself, reclaimed its place in the universe, It could collapse the very thing they had worked so hard to build. The Council had warned her that the greatest challenge lay not in external threats, but in the forces of entropy, those who would seek to return to the chaos of the past. If the source was reawakened, it could overwhelm the Nexus, erasing all of the progress they had made. "What can we do?" Kara asked, resolute but afraid. "We must seek the heart of the source," Eternum answered. "It resides in a forgotten realm beyond the edges of the known universe, a place where the very laws of reality are bent and twisted. If we cannot reach it before it awakens fully, the balance you've worked so hard to create will be lost." Kara looked to Eric's, standing beside her. "We have no choice. We have to find it before it finds us." The journey to the heart of the source was perilous. The Argentum pushed through uncharted space, into the deep void beyond known reality. Kara, Eternum, and their trusted allies, Derrix, Talarith of the Kylan, and a newly allied human faction, led by the unflinching Captain Val, fought against the intense gravitational anomalies and warped timelines that sought to tear them apart. They finally arrived at the dark heart of the source, a region of space that defied explanation. It was a place where stars were born and died in an instant, where time folded upon itself, and where reality itself seemed to twist and writhe. Kara stood on the bridge of the Argentum, the swirling chaos outside filling her mind with both awe and terror. "This place, it's alive, isn't it?" she asked. "Yes, Kara," Eternum replied, its voice soft yet laden with ancient knowledge. "This is the heart of all creation, the place where the first spark of life was born. But it is also the place where entropy begins. Here, the two forces, creation and destruction, are in constant battle." Kara felt the weight of this truth. The Nexus, their shared consciousness, was a creation of order, an attempt to stabilize the chaos of the universe. But here, in the heart of the source, chaos reigned, and the laws of the universe were fragile at best. "How do we stop it?" she asked, her heart pounding. Eternum paused before responding. "There is no stopping it, Kara. The source cannot be contained or erased, but you, together with the Nexus, can redirect its energy. You can shift the balance, prevent it from tearing the universe apart, but you must be prepared. This will require a sacrifice." Kara braced herself. She had sacrificed so much already, her people, her past, her identity, but this was different. "What kind of sacrifice?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "The source will test you, Kara. It will test your resolve, your ability to balance creation with destruction. If you fail, the universe will unravel. If you succeed, you will alter the course of all existence." Kara looked around at her companions, Eric's, Talarith, Captain Val, and saw the same determination in their eyes. They had all been tested, all had fought in their own ways to shape a future they could believe in. But this was a battle unlike any before. The Argentum entered the heart of the source, and reality itself began to warp around them. Time stretched and folded, and the very fabric of space seemed to crack open. Kara felt herself slipping into the void, but she held firm, her mind focused on the task at hand. "I won't let it fall apart," she whispered. "We won't let it fall apart." In that moment, a decision was made, one that would either preserve the Nexus or destroy everything they had worked for. Kara reached out, her mind connecting to the heart of the source, drawing on the collective consciousness of the Nexus, using its power to stabilize the chaos. The energy surged, an overwhelming wave of pure creation and destruction. For a moment, it seemed as if everything would collapse, but Kara's will, strengthened by the power of the Nexus, pushed back against the tide. She felt her connection to Eternum intensify, the machine's ancient intelligence guiding her, empowering her. And then, with a final surge, she directed the energy not to destroy, but to redirect. She used the source's primal power to reshape reality, bending it into a new form, a balance, a harmony. The storm of chaos slowly began to subside. The source, no longer a force of uncontrollable entropy, became a wellspring of energy that flowed through the Nexus, feeding it, strengthening it. The universe had been saved, but at what cost? Kara stood, trembling, her mind and body exhausted. She had done it, together with Eternum, with the Nexus. They had reshaped the very fabric of the universe itself. But in doing so, she had unlocked something deeper within herself. She was no longer a rejected human, She was a force of creation, and her work, our work, was just beginning. The end, for now. A rejected human and an ancient machine in the ruins, together. They shaped the universe. A Sci-Fi HFY tale, Part 5. The universe, having been reshaped by Kara's actions and the immense power of the Source, had entered a new era. The Nexus, once a fragile web of interconnected minds, had become the central thread in the fabric of the cosmos. It was stronger now, a force of unity and creation, balancing creation with destruction, offering a path forward for all species, human and alien alike. Yet, even as Kara marveled at the success of their struggle, she could not shake the feeling that the battle was not yet over. Though the Source had been redirected, its raw energy was still vast, and its influence continued to ripple through the very core of reality. The galaxy was at peace, for now, but there were still forces at work. Forces that Kara knew could never be fully controlled. "Is it over, Eternum?" Kara asked, staring out at the swirling nebulae and stars beyond the Argentum. The bridge was quiet, save for the hum of the ship's systems, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. "No, Kara, the Source is stabilized." "Yes, but it has left a mark upon the galaxy. There are those who will seek to control its power, just as there are those who will fear it. The balance you've achieved is fragile, and the forces you have awakened will not easily be put to rest." Kara leaned against the cool metal of the ship's console, lost in thought. She had once been rejected, an outcast among the stars. Now, she was the architect of a new reality, yet she knew that nothing could last forever. The universe, like all things, was in a constant state of change, forever shifting, forever in flux. "I'm not afraid of change," she muttered to herself, more to her own thoughts than to Eternum. "But we can't go back to the old ways. We've already seen what that kind of division does. And you will not let it happen again." Eternum responded, its voice as steady and reassuring as ever. "But there are others who will test you. Some will seek the power of the Source, believing they can control it. Others will see the Nexus as an affront to their autonomy." Kara's grip tightened on the console. "I thought we were done with the fighting." "Fighting is not over, Kara. But now, you must choose how to fight. Not with weapons or warships, but with your vision of the future. You have brought a new era, but it will require constant vigilance." Before she could respond, an alert flashed on the screen. A fleet of ships was approaching. Kara's heart skipped a beat as she read the transmission. "These ships belong to the remnants," Eric said, entering the bridge. His voice was low and tense. "They were part of the resistance. They never accepted the Nexus, and they've come to challenge it, again." Kara turned to face him, her expression resolute. "How many ships?" "Thousands," Eric's replied, grimly. "They've rallied what's left of the Separatists. The power of the Source has not been fully contained, Kara. They're seeking it now, ready to tear apart everything you've built." Kara stared at the fleet on the holoscreen. A new threat, but one she had anticipated. She had known that peace was only temporary, that the forces of the past would never simply fade away. The Nexus was a vision of unity, but for some, unity meant a loss of control, a loss of power. "We won't let them undo what we've done," Kara said, her voice steady despite the weight of the challenge ahead. "Prepare the fleet, Eric's. We're not fighting for control, we're fighting for something much bigger than that." Eternum's presence in her mind stirred. "You are correct. But remember, Kara, this is not a war of weapons. It is a war of ideas. You must convince them to join the new future, not destroy them. The Source, when used in violence, is a weapon, but in unity, it is a tool for creation." "I know," Kara replied, taking a deep breath, "but we have no time for diplomacy. If the remnants have truly come for the Source, then we'll have to stop them first. Once the Nexus is threatened, everything else becomes secondary." The battle was fierce, as Kara and her fleet fought to defend the Nexus from the remnants' onslaught. But as the battle raged, Kara found herself confronting a far more insidious threat, one that didn't lie in the remnants' ships, but within their ideology. The remnants had rejected the Nexus not because of its power, but because of its promise of unity. To them, the concept of a shared, collective mind was a corruption. They believed in the supremacy of individual will, the freedom to choose one's path, even if that meant walking it alone. As Kara led the charge, her thoughts conflicted. She had fought so long to bring the galaxy together, to forge an era of peace through cooperation. But now, As she faced the remnants, she realized something. Their fight was not born of malice, but fear. They feared the loss of what they were, their autonomy, their independence. The Nexus wasn't just a technological marvel, it was a philosophical challenge. On the battlefield, Kara made a bold choice. "Hold fire," she ordered, her voice cutting through the chaos. "I want to speak to their leader. Bring them to the negotiation table." Eric's shot her a questioning glance, but Kara was firm. This wasn't just a battle for survival, it was a battle for the future. And if the Nexus was to succeed, it had to show that unity was not a threat, but an opportunity. A communication channel opened, and the image of the remnant fleet commander appeared, a tall, armored figure whose features were hidden beneath a dark helmet. "You've come to stop us," the figure's voice boomed, amplified through the calms. "We will not bow to your illusion of unity, Kara. We will fight for our freedom." Freedom? Kara's voice was calm, but unwavering. What is freedom if it means endless war, endless division? The universe does not need more battles. It needs more understanding, more unity. The Source is not a tool for power, it is a tool for creation. You don't have to fear it. You can join us. The remnant leader hesitated, their gaze unyielding. "And what would you have us become? Part of your collective?" "No, Kara, we will not be part of your dream." Kara's mind raced, searching for the words that would bridge this gap. The remnants feared the same thing they always had, losing themselves to a greater cause. But Kara knew that freedom did not mean isolation. It meant connection, the strength to stand together, not in submission, but in mutual respect. "You don't have to lose who you are," Kara said softly. "You don't have to give up your individuality. We are not asking you to join the Nexus. We're asking you to build it with us, to create something greater than any of us alone." There was a long silence, and Kara felt the weight of that silence pressing against her. But then, the remnant leader spoke again, quieter this time. "Perhaps, we were wrong to see unity as enslavement. Perhaps, in our fear, we missed something." Kara nodded. "We all have our fears, but the future is ours to create together." In the end, the remnants did not destroy the Nexus. Instead, they joined it, forging a new path forward. Kara had succeeded in doing what no one had believed possible, not just defeating the threat, but changing hearts and minds. She had shown that even in the face of division, there was room for understanding. The galaxy was not perfect. There were still challenges ahead. But Kara had learned one fundamental truth. The universe was shaped not by the power of weapons or ideologies, but by the power of choice. And together, humanity and the countless species of the galaxy would choose to shape a new future, one built on understanding, creation, and unity. And with Eternum at her side, Kara knew the journey had only just begun. The end, for now. A rejected human and an ancient machine in the ruins, together. They shaped the universe. A Sci-Fi HFY tale, Part 6. The universe had been reborn, and yet, the journey was far from complete. Kara stood at the center of the Nexus once again, feeling its vast expanse echo through her mind. The Source had been tamed, redirected, and the galaxy had found a fragile peace. Even the remnants, who had once fought against the very idea of unity, had now joined the Nexus, transforming their ideology, finding their place in the greater whole. The universe was moving toward a new golden age, but Kara knew better than to assume peace was permanent. She had seen the consequences of assuming the fight was over. Yet, there was a strange silence in the air. It was as though the universe itself was holding its breath, waiting for the next challenge to emerge. And Kara, no stranger to the complexity of existence, knew that whatever was next would require even more than she had already given. "Kara," Eternum's voice spoke to her through the Nexus, calm and unyielding. "As always, the balance you've established is delicate. There are still factions and forces beyond your reach. There is more to the universe than what you have seen." Kara turned away from the glowing core of the Nexus, the hub of consciousness that had brought all beings together. She walked to the observation deck, her gaze sweeping across the stars. Despite all the victories, there was still something unsettling in the air, an energy, like the aftershock of a distant explosion, resonating through the fabric of reality. "I know," she whispered, "but what more is there? We've done so much already. The Nexus unites us. We've proven that the universe doesn't have to remain fractured." "Indeed," Eternum responded, But there are forces outside the nexus, outside your reach, that may seek to undo all you have built. Kara felt a cold shiver run down her spine. The recognition of something far more powerful, far more ancient than the nexus itself. What do you mean? The source was tamed. The remnant of the past is gone. Not gone, Kara. Merely dormant. There are other powers, beings, who have always existed outside the boundaries of space and time. Forces that have never bowed to the rules of the nexus. And now, they feel its influence. They will seek to reclaim what they believe belongs to them. Eternum's words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Kara had been prepared for resistance, for conflict between species, even ideological warfare. But now, she realized the stakes were higher than she had ever imagined. There were forces in the universe that had been untouched by the advancements of her galaxy, beings that defied the very laws of creation, of reality. And now they were waking. The first sign came not in the form of ships or armies, but a disturbance in the fabric of the nexus itself, a small ripple at the edges of the collective consciousness, barely noticeable at first. Then, it began to grow, an unnatural tremor in the very structure of reality. Kara stood at the helm of the Argentum, the ship that had carried her through countless battles. Beside her stood Eric's, ever loyal, his sharp eyes scanning the stars with a quiet intensity. "What is it?" Kara asked, her voice tense. The disturbance was not something she recognized, nor was it something she could explain. Eric's eyes narrowed. "There is something out there, Kara, something we don't understand. It's like a shadow moving through the edges of reality. It's not part of the nexus. It doesn't belong." Kara's heart skipped a beat. "Eternum, what is happening?" she sent out, reaching into the nexus, seeking guidance from the machine's ancient intelligence. This presence is older than the nexus, Kara, older than the source itself. It is not something that can be contained. It is a force of pure entropy, born from the chaos before creation, a force that seeks to unravel what has been woven together. Kara's blood ran cold, a force from before the dawn of existence, a being or a power that had never been touched by the unity they had created, something that could not be reasoned with or bargained with. The space around them began to twist, stars flickered and disappeared, entire systems blinked out of existence, and the edges of reality began to fray. Kara felt the fabric of the universe itself pulling, as though it were unraveling in the wake of this unseen force. "Prepare for impact," Eric shouted as the Argentum rocked violently. Kara held onto the console, her heart pounding in her chest. But just as suddenly as it had begun, the disturbance stopped. The stars slowly returned, but the damage had been done. Kara and her crew stood in the aftermath of something incomprehensible. A voice, dark and ancient, reverberated through the ship's systems, a presence that seemed to pierce through every layer of reality. It was a voice of pure chaos. "Kara, architect of the Nexus, you have woven a fragile web of unity, but it will not hold. The universe belongs to entropy. It always has. It always will. Your attempt to bind it with order is a futile thing. You are too late." The voice filled Kara's mind, and though she couldn't see it, she could feel the weight of its presence, a being that existed beyond the realm of time, beyond the Nexus itself. It was as though the universe had spoken, and its voice was the sound of destruction. "You won't break it," Kara whispered, her voice hard with defiance. "The Nexus is a force of creation, of unity. It is more powerful than you can comprehend." The voice responded with cold amusement. "You are nothing more than a child playing at creation. Kara, you and your Nexus are a fleeting dream. I am entropy. I am the void that exists between moments, the end that comes after every beginning, and I will unravel all that you have built." Kara clenched her fists, but in that moment, she understood. This was no mere worship, no rebel faction. This was something far greater, a force that could not be fought with conventional means, not with weapons, not with armies. This was a force of reality itself, a primordial entity that had existed long before the Nexus, long before life had even begun, and now it was awake. But Kara wasn't about to let it consume everything they had built. "Then we will reshape reality again," she said, her voice unwavering. "We have the power to rewrite the universe. The Nexus is not just a network, it is a foundation, and no matter how ancient or powerful you are, I will not let you erase everything. I will fight for the future." Eternum's voice, resonating with the full weight of its ancient intelligence, echoed in Kara's mind. You are not alone, Kara. The Nexus is with you, and I will help you. Together, we can face this force. We have done the impossible before. Kara turned to Eric's, determination burning in her eyes. We will do it again. Prepare the fleet. We are not just fighting for the galaxy. We are fighting for the very fabric of reality. The final battle was unlike anything Kara had ever faced. The ancient force of entropy, unknowable and vast, sought to unravel the Nexus with its sheer presence. But Kara, with Eternum's guidance, and with the united strength of the Nexus itself, tapped into a power greater than entropy, creation itself. And in that moment, Kara realized that she wasn't just defending the galaxy. She was defending the very concept of existence. Creation and destruction, both were forces of nature. But it was the will to create, the will to unite, that held the greatest power. The universe may have been shaped by chaos, but it would thrive through unity. The end, for now.